What's happening, everybody? This is OnnSean with OnBeat Entertainment. Today I'm doing a tutorial in Logic Pro X, and I'm going to show you how to humanize the MIDI notes that you have in Logic. And the reason I'm doing a tutorial on this is because with electronic music today, we have tools like quantizers and things like that that can sometimes, with overuse and really sometimes with normal use, make our tracks sound a little bit too robotic. So we have tools like Humanize in order to help to make it sound more human again. And what is human? Imperfect. That's what it is. We don't play things perfect. We don't play things right on the one, every note right on the one. We don't hold that key down for exactly the same amount of time every single time. So these are the things that can make it sound a little too robotic sometimes. So let's jump right in. And as you can see, I've got a 4-bar loop up on the screen. It's just a MIDI loop, something that I played from a weird sound in Omnisphere. We'll take a listen to that first. And I've got the click track playing, the metronome. That way you can hear that it's not quantized. This is an unquantized MIDI track. So let's take a listen. First things first, double click the region, and that pops your MIDI region down to the editor if you didn't already have it there. And then we can come down here to functions, come to MIDI transform, and right over here to humanize. By the way, the rest of these MIDI transform functions are really cool as well. You should check them out if you haven't, but we're doing humanize today. And boom, so now we got this window. So let me just take you through this window and explain a few things. So preset humanize, this is just the same thing that we looked at under functions. The menu is just accessible right here as well if you want to switch in between this and something else. Mode, we're going to keep it on apply operations to selected events today, but there are some other ones in here: delete selected events, copy selected events, and apply operations, etc., etc. But we're going to keep it on apply operations today. So then we come over here to selected events by conditions. So this refers to whatever MIDI notes that we have selected that we're about to apply humanization to. So we've got this MIDI region selected up here, and what it's going to do is run it through this filter, which says anything in this region which is equal to a note. Well, that's going to be everything. This is a note, that's a note, that's a note, that's a note. They're all notes. So that's going to tell me that when I select and operate to perform this operation, it is going to select every single note that I see on my screen in this region down here. And that is what I want. So then we come down here, and this is the operation. And it relates to what you see above it here. So we've got it's going to do a randomization of position, a randomization of velocity, and a randomization of length. All right, and you don't have to do all three either. You can shut them off, and I'll show you that as well. So let's start by position. So position is where it lies on the grid horizontally, so along the timeline basically. And it shows up as bars, beats, divisions, and ticks. Bars are 1, 2, 3, 4. Beats are 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, etc., etc. Divisions are going to be the divisions that you have set right here. I have it set at 16th notes, so that'll be 16 divisions per bar. And then ticks are basically, there's 960 ticks in a beat, 4 beats in a bar. So that's what this means, and we're going to set this up to, and you see here, plus minus randomization. So it's going to set plus minus, and I can grab each one of the, or any one of these that I want. I'm going to grab ticks, and I'm just going to scroll up, and I'm going to take it up to, let's say 20. So I could just, if I want to type it in, I can do that. But you got to be careful, because if I just were to type 20 in here and hit enter, it's going to show up as 20 bars. So how you get around that is you have to enter the bars, beats, divisions, and ticks. So how you do that is just double click, and then you hit 0 space 0 space 0 space, and then 20. Oh, not 29, but 20. Boom. So that's how you would enter it in if you just want to type it. So we're going to do a plus or minus 20 tick randomization on on position. Before we move on to the rest, let's take a listen to how that sounds, but we gotta perform the operation first. So we come down here, we got three options. Select only means it's going to select the notes just so that I can see which notes are going to be selected for the operation without performing any operation. So if I click select only, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to highlight whatever notes are going to be affected if I let logic do the picking. So if I do that, notice it selected every single note. The reason is because, again, within this region, it's running it through this filter, anything that is equal to a note. These are all notes, so that's why it selected everything. So operate only is if you already have the notes selected that you want to perform the operation on, and you just want to perform the operation because, again, you already have them selected. I could come in here if I only wanted to perform the operation on these four notes. I could just select these four and then click operate only, and it's going to look and say, okay, it's going to forget basically about this. It's going to disregard this because I've already made my selection of these four notes, so that I could just click operate only. But if I come down here, whether or not I've got these four selected becomes irrelevant if I come down here and click select and operate, because that's going to override. So anytime you click select, you're telling it to run it through this filter, which is going to select every note and perform the operation. Again, that's what I want today, so I'm going to select that. You saw everything slightly move just a little bit, and then so let's take a listen. Now, sounds a little sloppy, right? It sounds sloppier than it did before. There's a reason for that, and the reason for that is because what I just did was I humanized something that was already humanized. Remember, what I played for you before that was what I played, all right? So I never corrected that. I never quantized it or anything. I even said at the beginning of the video that it wasn't quantized. So sometimes if you've ever come in here to use Humanize and you've done it and weren't happy with the results, hopefully that wasn't what you encountered, because if it was, it's not going to work very well for you if you do that. So what I usually like to do is come down here and quantize them all first, snap them to the grid, get everything perfect first, and then humanize it from there. Typically, I would just set all these and do them at the same time. I'm just separating them out so that you can hear them individually. So I'm going to set this back to 0 because I don't want it to do anything more to that. Oops. And then I'm going to come here to velocity, and I'm going to set this for a plus or minus 15. But same thing here. If I do that, you can see from the different colors, the color coordination is all related to velocity. So you can see that these are all already different velocities. So if I wanted to set them up for the same, I don't have a quantization for that. So what I can do is just come down here, Command A. I'm going to click T and V to grab my velocity tool here. And then I'm going to go ahead and Option Shift. And I'm going to set them all to 30. And now I'll do a plus or minus randomization of 15, actually of just 10. Select and operate. And by the way, you can see definitely change them. They're not all uniform anymore. All right, and sounds good to me. So length I'm not going to do today, but because I don't want any of these changed. But if I wanted to change them, I could let's do something extreme, and we'll do it by we'll make it 1 bar 3 beats. Actually, I don't want it to do. Let's do just randomization of 2 beats. So that way you'll see it change. So I'll select and operate, and boom, you saw that change. So again, I don't want to do that with this, but it is useful with. I've definitely used it before, and it is a useful item, but not for this one. So one other thing I wanted to show you is a different way that I actually humanize my position, which was the first thing that we did. I don't usually use that to randomize it. The way I do it is I'll come down here. Let me click T twice to get my pointer tool back. And I come down here and just highlight all of them. And when I quantize them, they're snapped to the grid now. But if you look down here to strength, by default, this will be at 100. So if this is at 0, however, this is unquantized. This is where they were at before I quantized. Again, 0 is unquantized, my originals. 100 is fully quantized, and I can now slide them anywhere in between that I want. So I could start with my quantize and just start moving towards 100% quantization and get it to where I want. And if that's where I want right there, then just stop right there. That way it kind of maintains some I might have played slightly before the note, some I played slightly after, some I played pretty far after, and it kind of preserves that, but still, you know, gathers them and tightens them up a little bit closer to the grid at you know, whatever strength that you want it to do. You can do the same thing with swing, but that's not what we're talking about here. But you could do the same thing with that, by the way. So anyway, that's how I quantize my notes, and then that to me is the best way. So that's how I do it. You can use Humanize though if you want, but that is how you do it in Humanize, and how you humanize your note position, your velocity, and your note length. So before you go, if you would please click the thumbs up button for me down below. And in addition, I'd certainly appreciate your support, and all you have to do for that is hit the red subscribe below. That's it. Also, please leave me a comment. I do read all of them, whether it's a follow-up question or a different way that you do things, or maybe something that you just want to add to the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow me on places like Twitter and Instagram. I am at onnseanbeats, and all my social media links are in the description below, so hopefully I'll see you there too. As always, thanks for watching.